This is Dr. Leo with Ohio Sports Chiropractic, and we're going to show you some exercises which will help increase internal rotation. Basically, internal rotation of the hip is when the hip rotates a little bit inwards relative to the pelvis, and it's super important with any sports that involve running, especially if you're a runner. This first move here is kind of a warm-up to get the joint of the hip loose and ready to accommodate a good stretch. Basically what you're doing is you're just going to drop down to a squat position, and then what I'm doing is I'm actually kind of leaning over to this opposite leg to bear weight on this leg while I drop this knee down, slightly internally rotating my hip. Okay, so we're just going to play it through a little bit. Okay, so I'm leaning off to that side. And I'm going to do this for 30 seconds straight, so just kind of alternating, holding it for about 3, 4, 5 seconds each time, just to get a good deep mobility in through that hip. You can kind of see my knees diving down. It's a pretty good stressor on the hip here, but super important in terms of getting a good exercise here. I'm going to back this up a little bit and go to the opposite leg here. So kind of want it to be in a straight line optimally here relative to your torso. And again, I'm leaning over to this opposite leg to bear a lot of weight onto this leg. Obviously, if this is creating pain in the knees and you're unable to get into this position, that's really indicative that you need some good stretching through here. So just jump past this one and then we'll go to the next one if this is causing you pain in the hip or the knees or the ankles. So again, 30 seconds, kind of holding it for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so the next move is also kind of a little bit of a warm-up. So basically, you're going to kind of do a frog leg position here, and you're going to do this as well for about 30 seconds, holding it for about 5 seconds each. And notice how my heel is kind of rotated down so that I'm getting a full range of motion in through my femur or my thigh. And then I kind of put my arms out to kind of hold me down so I can try to keep my pelvis flat. So I'm just dropping it in. Again, there's a pretty good stretch on the hip here, pretty good stretch. Again, if this is causing pain in the hip, you get the feeling you shouldn't do this because of pain in the hips and knees, or possibly even back, then obviously don't do it, and talk to us about that. But again, kind of want to be able to rotate so much that you can keep your pelvis or your thigh in line with your torso there, and that's a good shot of that. And this side I struggle a little bit more with the range of motion, so I'm not able to do that. I kind of dive in a little bit. So again, 30 seconds, holding that for about 5 seconds each leg. This is called the grapevine, or the reverse grapevine. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to kind of lock your heel into the ground, take your opposite leg and lock your heel under the knee. And then the key thing here is that my knee is at 90 degrees. My knee is at 90 degrees. Okay, that's key. And again, I put my arms out to kind of hold me down a little bit to try to keep the pelvis level. You can see how much I'm rotating through the pelvis. Over the course of 2 minutes, this is how long I want you to hold this, the pelvis will begin to drop down towards the floor. Okay, so you're going to hold that for 2 minutes each leg. But again, I want the arms out to kind of keep you level so you're not rotating too much. Again, locking the leg at 90 degrees. Just bam, bam, 90 degrees. And then holding that for 2 minutes. And this leg I move a little bit easier, so I'm not sticking up quite as much. So 2 minutes each. It's a nice passive stretch for the hips and pelvis. Okay, so this next one is kind of an active move, so you can get a pillow, foam roller, med ball, something to put in between the legs. And then what you're going to do is just kind of lock it in between the knees, and you want everything stacked here, right? So you want your shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, all stacked. So straight at 90 degrees or perpendicular to the floor. Okay, so you want all those positions to be perpendicular to the floor. So again, shoulders, hips, knees, ankle, all stacked. And then from this position, you're going to actively bring your foot up, which will cause you to do some active internal rotation. So we started out with some warm-up, and then we did a passive internal rotation stretch. Now we're doing an active internal rotation activation. And then so you could just flip sides. You're going to do that for 10 reps each side. Okay? If you're advised to do this, you should do this daily, preferably after workouts. Okay, and again, it's kind of an active range of motion here. And you're just going to do it 10 times. I don't want you to fly through it, so again, you're going to got to do a 3 to 5 second hold on this. It'll take a little bit of time, but important that you keep everything stacked so that you're perpendicular to the floor. Okay, then we're going to go to the last one, which does involve a little bit of a weight. So you can see here, I'm using a 25-pound weight. I'm locking it on my heel. I'm going to bring my leg to 90 degrees. Good. So I'm moving it back so I'm more at 90 degrees. And this is called the roadkill stretch. So I'm locked at 90 degrees. See, these are all the safest internal rotation stretches we know. So what I'm doing is, now that my heel is locked by the weight, I'm isolating my foot, keeping my knee at 90 degrees, and then I'm rotating over my body over. I'm flipping my leg and body over so that I'm dragging this thigh into internal rotation. And then continually I'm trying to gently force my body towards the floor to generate more torque on that hip that is down. And again, you're going to hold this for 2 minutes per leg. Now, it's not uncommon to find one leg to be a lot tighter than the other. For me, my right leg is a lot tighter in internal rotation than my left. And most of my running injuries you can extrapolate from some of this hip restriction. So again, I'm going to lock the weight on the heel. You can figure out some way, maybe you can lock your heel on the couch or some other way, with some other weight or something like that to kind of hold it down, or you can have a buddy hold it down. But again, you're going to keep your knee at 90 degrees. That's key. And then you're going to flip your body over it. So you're going to rotate, so you're forcing internal rotation on the bottom leg. And then again, just kind of gently rotating over the course of 2 minutes so that you're laying flat on the floor. We're trying to pursue that. Okay, and that's it for the internal rotation stretches. If you have any questions, reach out to us at the clinic. Please, please, please call or email if you have any questions. We'd love to answer them.